Like a plan.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Vapreneur of the Week radio show. My name is Norm Bauer. I'm the founder and president of Vape Mentors and the author of the book Vapreneur, which is where this whole name came from. As the largest vape-specific consultancy in the U.S., we've worked with over 40 companies worldwide and have helped more vape shops than anyone else. The goal of this show, Vapreneur of the Week, is to share the stories, experiences, and the lessons of those people to help you learn from others. Since 2013, that's almost 4 years now, we've been preaching and teaching collaboration, cooperation, and partnering. And if you plan on being around, we all must change our mindset. And so this show may help you do that. For several years, we've taught online programs, including the Vape U series, and we've been pushing what we call the 6 pillars of vape space success. So today we're going to meet your guest, is JR Neans. He is with Top Shelf Wholesale out of Texas. So JR, welcome to Vapreneur of the Week.
Good morning, Norm. Thank you.
My pleasure. So first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, whether you came from a smoking background and your entrepreneurial experience, and how in the world did you ever find yourself in this crazy world of vaping, man?
Yeah, very interesting. I'm retired from the Army, and I had been back from Afghanistan about 6-7 months when I had a massive heart attack.
Oh, wow.
I was a very heavy smoker. I love to smoke, as horrible as that sounds. But the cardiologist told me if I would like to live, I needed to quit smoking. Well, I had heard about vape. I had seen a few people doing it. Now we're talking, this is back in 2013.
Perfect.
So I went to a vape shop. Got a little pen that cost me about $130, and that's where I started. My wife quit smoking with me and started vaping. Well, the more I vaped, the more I wanted to know about vape. So I started researching it. Then I started talking to her about, maybe we should open a vape shop. If I can quit smoking, I bet a lot of other people could also. So that's kind of a little bit of how we got started. And she would tell me that my next wife would enjoy opening.
Well, I have to tell you, as an entrepreneur for 40 years, I have never seen an industry as dynamic, as changing, as volatile as vaping. And the story you just shared, and thank you for that, is one that I've heard numerous times before, because this is one of the most passionate businesses I think that people can get involved with, because like many people, like yourself, they know most people who smoke want to quit. That's the irony of it, but they can't. I mean, it's an addiction in its very purest form. And so when they do discover an alternative, an option to help them have a healthier lifestyle, and you, of course, had a call to Jesus, and that's not a cliche here. I mean, you actually were told if you don't stop smoking, you may die, or you will die sooner than later. And so it's an industry that's built on passion. But what I've seen, and maybe you've seen it too, is that passion is not enough. And so you have to have some type of business acumen. So what was your background, when you came back from the Army? Had you had any business experience as an entrepreneur?
Actually, I had. I've owned a security company previously. And actually, I have to give a lot of the credit to my wife. She spent her entire life as doing accounting. So she is the bean counter, and her feet are firmly on the ground, where mine's completely in the clouds where my head is. So somewhere we meet in the middle, and she helps immensely with that.
That's wonderful that you were able to find a business. And I can relate to where you're coming from, because that's where I am. I'm more of a visionary guy and a big thinking guy. And sometimes the actual mechanics don't always fall into place. So if you can find a collaboration with your spouse, and I've seen several couples who have gone into the vaping industry, sometimes it's the wife. It's an industry that is very heavily influenced by females, especially baby boomer females. And they quit smoking, and a lot of times they're looking for a business for sometimes the first time in their life. So how did you actually get started? Did you open a brick and mortar retail shop like the way most people do it?
Yes, I did. I was going to have a partner. That didn't end up working out, and I'm sure that was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But financially, it was very difficult. As you well know, getting financing for the vaping industry is not the easiest thing to do.
So can I ask, JR, how much did you budget and how much did it actually cost you to open up your first shop?
Okay. I was kind of afraid this was going to come out.
Okay, good. I like it already.
$15,000.
That's how much you budgeted.
That's how much I could get my hands on.
Okay. All right.
And I had I got a very small line of credit for, seems like it was $2,200 on top of that.
Wow.
So that's what I started it on. My wife and I built the shop ourselves. We built all of our cabinets. I used my very small line of credit to buy product with, and we got started. I would recommend anyone getting into this, you need a whole lot more than what I started with.
So what would you recommend? You know, obviously the people that are watching this are people who have had shops or who own shops or who are thinking about getting shops. So I have my opinion and it's changed over the last several years. So if someone was asking you, JR, I want to open up a vape shop, how much should I budget? What would you tell them today?
Depending on your location and what your business model is, in my opinion, you really need somewhere between 40 and 60,000, and that would give you a decent start.
All right, so you're right on the mark that I've come up with because, you know, we've been doing classes and I've been doing consulting for 4 years now, and the number I used to offer was 30,000. And again, like you, it has to be tempered by your location. If you're in an urban city environment, your rent's going to be higher, and that's probably the biggest expense, although TI and depending upon what you have to do, that's expensive as well. But in today's world, I usually say 50,000 as a minimum because the bar has been leveled. People's expectations are very high. And at one time, you could put together a piece of crap shop and people would say, oh, you know, I don't care what it looks like as long as you've got the stuff I'm looking for. But now competition is so strict that you need to create an ambiance.
Well, and that's kind of what we did with our shop. Even though it was very low budget, we're way different. A lot of vape shops you walk into and each person runs their shop how they want to, but it's dark.
Yes.
A lot of the items in there are black. Well, you walk, I had one gentleman told me that I looked like the iPod of vape. It's all my cabinets are white. My shop's lit up very well. I have nice tables in there. But I want it to be a welcoming, I don't, whether you're 18 or 78, I want you to feel comfortable walking into my shop.
So was Top Shelf the name that you started with?
Actually, it was Top Shelf. I'm sorry, Texoma Top Shelf e-cig and vape.
Okay.
Excuse my phone. I thought I turned it off.
No worries. It's all good. So Texoma, what does Texoma indicate? In Texas?
Yes, I'm in far north Texas. I'm about 20 miles from the Red River on the border.
Okay.
And so the area up here, which includes part of Oklahoma, everyone locally calls it Texoma.
All right. So when we go through the 6 pillars, you know, the first one is about successful business strategies and modeling. And the next section we usually talk about is branding, which we're already speaking about right now, and competitive positioning. So when you opened in that city that you opened in 2013, how many shops do you think were there? And by the way, Oklahoma is a very, very heavy vaping state, which I'm sure that you have come to realize. And Oklahoma City, which I'm not sure how close you are to that, the actual per capita number of shops in Oklahoma City was higher than almost any place I've ever seen in the whole country. At one time, there was about over 300 shops with a population of just under 1 million.
Wow.
Wow is right. So what about the city that you moved into? What kind of population and what kind of competition?
Well, that's that adds to some of the difficulties, actually. I'm in a very small town.
Yeah.
But we're a twin city. I have about 33,000 in my town, and the town exactly that butts right up to ours maybe has 37.
Okay.
Now we've got probably 14 actual vape shops, and then quite a few vape and smoke shops,
Right.
that are combined. So when I opened, being the new guy, I had to have something that set me apart. And I actually didn't open my brick and mortar until 2015, but I spent all that time previous to that researching. And what I found is all of the vape shops here mix their own e-liquids in shop. Hardly any of them had any premiums at all.
All right, so time out here. So even as of 2015, which is 2 years ago, most shops were doing their own liquids and they weren't really using big brands?
Correct.
You know, that's not typical of most of the country. I don't know if you realize that.
No, even today, every shop here still mixes their own e-liquids. But they've also incorporated a few premiums in with that.
Wow. Okay.
So as we both know, that's going to change soon, but I had to be different. And it was a tough call because, as we all know, the margins are so much greater when you mix your own liquid than it is with premiums.
Correct.
So I went back and forth and back. I decided, you know what? My shop's going to be all premium e-liquids. And we're going to offer a different level of customer service. So everybody laughed at me, said I was going to fail. You cannot run a vape shop on just premiums. You can't make the money.
Well, so let me ask you, how do you define a premium? Because that's a word that I caution people against using, JR, because it's a lightning rod, believe it or not, for lawsuits. Because how do you actually, when you go in and buy gasoline, it's premium because it has a certain octane rating and you pay more for it. But, you know, what is premium beer? What is premium wine? What is premium tequila? Sometimes it's very vague, sometimes it's defined. So when you say you only offer premium liquid, how are you defining it? And how do people know that you're really premium compared to other people who use that name?
Norm, that's a good question because I try to educate my customers on what I believe makes a premium liquid. And in order to be in my shop, the liquid has to come from an actual lab. It has to come from not being made. It has more to do with how the liquid is made. Used to be a long time ago, they said, oh, if it's 80% VG, it's, you know, that's high VG, it's premium. No, I don't see it that way. The way I see it is it's the ingredients you use, it's the standards by which they're made by. That's what makes a liquid premium.
And this is why you're a big fan of the Vape Industry Business Exchange, and I'm going to have you talk about that in a little bit because that's a big part of this discussion, which for those of you who are not familiar with VIBE, it's basically a trade association and a buyers group that is dedicated towards several different things, including collaboration of the industry and increasing the level of sophistication as far as the standardization of liquid. And like I said, we're gonna get into that in a moment, JR, because I'd love to hear you explain your motivation for why you have chosen to get involved with VIBE and how you are participating. So we're going to come back to a moment. So when you talk about your product, so you are carrying your self-defined premium line and you also are carrying name brands as well?
Many others, correct.
Okay. So how many different flavors? I'm sorry, how many others?
32. 32.
So do you consider that's the right amount, too little or too high?
I think that has to be defined by your location and how many people are around you. But that being said, I believe in offering the customer a variety. So do I sell a whole lot of any one? No, I don't. But I sell a lot overall. And it keeps them coming back to see what else they can try.
Okay. So, I mean, again, if I look back at my history in the industry, normally I would say to someone like yourself, that's too many brands. But, you know, everyone has a different version of what's too many and what's the right amount. And my normal rule of thumb has been somewhere between 10 and 15, maybe push it up to 20. But, you know, and the challenge we have is that in the world of life, people treat us the way we allow them to be treated. And in the world of liquids, people will look for as many brands as you offer them. If you only offered them 15, they'd probably be happy with 15. But if you're offering them 32, they're going to be happier with 32, of course. So that's a very slippery slope between offering everything you can to everyone and also having to deal with, inventory control and possible waste management when you have liquid that's starting to get old, right?
Well, that's absolutely correct. And we keep a very close eye on how long something sits on our shelf before we get rid of it and replace it with something else. That being said, if I'd have to label a drawback, it's how much money I have in inventory sitting on my shelf. It looks amazing, lots of bottles, but that means lots of money that could be used other places also.
So how much would you say you have sitting in inventory between liquids and hardware right now?
Over at the shop, I'd say probably 55,000.
Okay. So let's talk about hardware for a moment, because obviously we want to talk about that also. That is also a very challenging area because of the changes that used to take place. Not so much anymore. Post August 8th, of course, we theoretically, I'm using air quotes here, ladies and gentlemen, because theoretically no new product should be out there, but we know that that is still the case. So are you finding it a little bit easier now post deeming regulations to not have to worry about version 2.0 surpassing version 1.0 and then having unsold inventory?
Not really. Some, but not really, because it seems like, this was out before August 8th. It just wasn't out here.
Right.
So it's new to here.
Yeah, I get it. Wink, wink, nod, nod. We all know what's going on. Yeah.
But I carry anything from the very small non-sub-ohm pins all the way to 350 watt mods. It's my goal in life to help as many people as I can quit smoking.
I agreed.
That's the majority of the market out there, if you want to look at it from a business sense. And the people that are doing the real heavy sub-ohming and RDAs actually make up a small percentage of who's out there total. I do have a lot of my customers that have moved up to that level, and they enjoy it, and I keep bringing in different things in the shop for them to enjoy. But my focus, I still try to get the smokers in to get them off the regular cigarettes.
And I think that is the way the industry has gone. I mean, even from the beginning, as I got into vaping, I saw the progression and the advancement of, one of the things I'm known for is understanding the generational differences from a B2B as well as a B2C perspective. And I saw that the millennial audience, which right now is in the young 20s to roughly the mid 30s, from a consumer standpoint, they still think of it as a social experiment or a social vehicle. Whereas, and that balloon has continued to be very, very big in regards to the percentage of vaping out there. The Gen X's, which is right now somewhere in the mid 30s to maybe the very high 40s or early 50s, that balloon has continued to grow as they maybe saw their kids or their friends start vaping. And then, of course, the baby boomers, which is my generation and probably close to your generation too. Here you have the late adapters, the people who, they are the last to the farm because they don't want to deal with technology. And that is one of the things that's really helped the industry, as I'm sure you'll agree, is what used to be very complicated now in many cases has been very simple, especially with closed systems. Which, do you carry closed system products as well?
I am actually just starting to get into closed systems. I've got a marketing campaign that'll be kicking off in the next couple of weeks. Again, targeting the smokers and generally the ones 35 and up. And those are the ones I'll be working with closed systems on.
I think that's a brilliant move, and I'd love to see your marketing campaign. I actually had a conversation with a client of mine who is out of the country, but he has 3 shops in Denver, and he's actually going to put a lot more impetus on the closed tank system because all indications are that's going to be the only game in town. Maybe not today, maybe not the end of this year, but as time goes on, you're not going to have much in the way of open tank systems. So if you can get ahead of the curve, I think that's a really, really good start. So what have you had to deal with in the state of Texas in regards to regulation? I know very well Shell Hamill, who runs the Safada chapter down there, and here in California where I am, they just put on this horrible, horrible tax, and Pennsylvania has dealt with it. So have you dealt with any challenges either on the local level, whether it be your city or your county, or on the state level, JR?
The only thing on the state level really was raising the age to 21.
Oh, you have that in Texas now as well?
They're working it.
Oh, okay. I was not aware.
And we're fighting it.
Okay.
But I mean, I know people that are 19 years old that smoke that would like to quit smoking.
Of course.
Fair's fair. But at any rate, state-wise, not really, other than the adult signature only when you send something in the mail.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's coming anyway.
Yeah.
Locally, what I've seen is here about year and a half ago, the city of Sherman determined that vape was going to be the same as a regular cigarette.
Yeah.
And what they did, they were doing no smoking areas, basically, in a no smoking campaign. So at the city council meeting, we had the Heart Association, everybody at the city council meeting, and I was the only, and this is sad, I was the only vape shop owner there. But they had thrown vape in with the rest of it for the no smoking ordinance. And so I got up and I'd given all the council members and the mayor all the research I could put my hands on. And I basically said, I completely agree with these people. We are on the same side. However, smoking is not the same as vaping. It's a tobacco product. It burns. And we went through the whole thing. Needless to say, I lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I've had that conversation with many, including the Office of Management and Budget. I went back there for their hearings a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's so asinine, of course, that tobacco should be considered the same as vaping and vice versa. But, you know, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. So what are you doing in the way of marketing from a social media standpoint? Because most shops pretty much look to social media as being their primary marketing vehicle. But when you deal with the older demographics that you are, that gets a little bit tricky because they aren't Instagram followers and they don't have Facebook feeds. And so how do you appeal to your customer, and what is your social media posture, positioning?
Well, obviously we do use social media. We have to because we're so limited on where we can advertise.
Yeah.
We have Facebook and Instagram. I've got a website for my retail shop that you can order some e-liquids off of it. I pulled all the equipment off there. It was just too difficult to maintain. I couldn't compete, but it gives us an anchor.
Right.
It gives us, I have so many people walk into the shop brand new, and I ask everyone, how'd you hear about us? Oh, I Googled you. Oh, okay, good. Well, I get tons of people that come in just from Googling us. They see our reviews on Facebook.
Perfect. And Yelp too, by the way, probably, right?
Very little on Yelp.
Really? That's interesting. Yelp has been a very strong, inexpensive, if not cheap, factor for vape shops. Now that at one time, by the way, there was no designation for vape shops. A friend of mine here in California, he actually is the one who made a pain in the ass of himself and had them create a special, because we were all considered smoke shops, in some cases head shops. So, but I've found that vaping as a category in Yelp has been very, very positive. And by the way, I might want to add, you'd be amazed, or maybe you wouldn't be amazed, how many people don't even have their shop listed under Google. In other words, they haven't even claimed their business, so to speak. And now how simple is that? So that when people are Googling, vape shops in a particular city, they don't even show up on the search engines. It's just nuts how stupid sometimes people are.
No, you got to take advantage of every single thing you can, especially in this industry. So everywhere you can get your name out there, the better off you are. I average in my little town, I sign up about 100 new customers a month in my shop.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
Is what I'm running, and I'm real happy with that. Our base has spread considerably. I have a considerable customer base now that comes down from Durant up in Oklahoma, and it's about a 35-minute drive for them, and they pass a lot of vape shops coming here.
So why? Why are they coming to you, my friend?
They're coming to me because of the customer service and
Okay.
the selection both. When I say customer service, we don't only say hi when they walk in the door.
Right.
It has to go farther than that. Someone comes in, they need a new coil, their coil is completely burned up. There's no reason we can't offer, hey, why don't you let us clean your tank up for you and put the new atomizer in.
Now, be very careful with that, of course, because that's a very slippery slope as well when it comes to doing builds. Again, another.
No, not doing builds.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't build coils, just a regular pre-made atomizer. We'll take them out, we'll clean their tank for them.
Okay.
Put the new atomizer in, prime it,
Okay.
and let them go.
Wow.
And we don't change the ohm rating on the atomizer. We put the same one in that they have. All very sticky parts of the rules.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just going to add a little caveat there. So when the Deemings first came out, which is hard to believe, almost a year ago, a lot of people think that the world was coming to an end and there'd be Nazi stormtroopers at their door ready to bust down your businesses and what have you. But the reality of it is that I've heard of a few checks by the FDA. But for the most part, it's business as usual. But I recommend to anyone who is listening to this, don't be obvious and don't be flaunting what you're doing, but be very mindful of the fact that pay attention to the rules. But I'm a big believer in pushing the envelope, and I'm sure you are as well, because most people don't reach a certain point in their life without pushing the rules a little bit. So, doing what you can is really what it's all about.
Well, quite frankly, I structured this shop planning on the rules before I ever opened, not knowing what the rules were going to be. Hence the no house juices mixed in my shop. Now, when the deeming regs came out, we stopped building for people. We used to give build classes, and people would come in, they'd buy an RDA, we'd build their coil for them. We stopped all of that. I've got a big yellow sign on my front door, 18 and over only. We card. But I've tried all along to stick strictly by the rules when the GCCs came out.
Right.
Anything I did not have a GCC on, come off my shelf.
So let me jump in for a moment in the interest of time. So you opened up shop number 1. And let's do a quick synopsis of how many shops that you have now and then how you got into the liquid end and the distribution end, because considering you opened shop number 1 in 2015?
Yes.
And here it is 24 months later and you have advanced significantly. So where are you today and how did you get there so quickly, sir?
Everything I make, I put back into the shop.
Okay.
I'm still eating ramen, but I will get past that one day. My wife and I work 7 days a week. We're down to 6 now, which we're pretty good about. We've hired some very good people.
Excellent.
That care about my customers. I slowly, and maybe a little too quickly, moved into the wholesale side of things.
Well, so how many retail shops do you have before we get into that? Oh, you still have the one. I thought you had more than one.
Nope, I've just got the one. Right now, all of my focus is on my wholesale shop and Vibe.
Got it.
Once that is up and off the ground, I'll be started. By then, we'll know about the regulations.
So let's talk about your wholesale business and how you ventured into that and how you are doing it today. And let's talk about how you were introduced to the Vape Industry Business Exchange and why you saw that as being a significant part of your future. And we're blessed to have you part of our future as well.
Well, start with, I feel very fortunate to have been able to take advantage of being a part of this because I see it as the future of vaping. I didn't open this shop to make a bunch of money in 3 years and then go away.
Yeah.
there are going to be regulations, there are going to be standards. And the way I see it, either you get on the bus or you get run over by the bus. That's the way it is. And it might be a cold, hard fact, but I want to be part of the good side of vaping. And if Vibe gives me the opportunity to help shops stay open by doing it correctly, then I'm happy.
Well, you know what? We have been projecting, I have been projecting, and a lot of other people have said that we're going to see as much as 90% or more of the liquids go away and 90% or more of the shops go away. And they sound like just unbelievable numbers, but I think that they are very believable. And the irony is, again, I can speak for myself, I'm okay with that, because if we use a round number of, say, 8,000 shops and 8,000 liquid companies, and if we see the loss of 6,000 liquid companies and 6,000 shops, that's still not horrible. I see the future as being less shops doing more, making more business, being run professionally and by professionals, because you've seen out there, I don't know how many shops you've been to over the years, but I've been through a lot, and you have as well. Most of them are still run very amateurishly, and they don't have anything in the way of branding or any type of presence at all. So, you know, it's like this is a marathon. It is a survival of the fittest example in its purest sense. And so let's talk about the Vape Industry Business Exchange and how you were introduced to that by my business associate, James Arbaugh, and what light bulb went off in your mind as far as where you saw yourself participating.
Kind of funny. James is in a lot of ways like I am. His head's always stuck in the clouds. And this didn't just come up yesterday. We've been talking about this for a long time. And I was so fortunate that he asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. It's, like I say, I see it as the direction the industry is going. I'm going to be handling the fulfillment for the Vape Industry Business Exchange through my wholesale. I am getting everything ready for that, bringing the lines in already. I'm real excited about it. And everyone would have already known about this a long time ago, but we want it right. James wants it right.
Oh, yeah.
Jump out there and fall on our face. So there's some amazing things he's working on that's going to be out there within the next couple of weeks. And I can't wait to get people started on it, because I agree with you on the vape shops and on the labs. But someone that they put their life savings in this, they want to make it, but they just don't know how. Vibe can help them do that by getting them with the right products, Vibe certified e-liquids, and helping them advance their shops instead of going out of business.
Well, that's the irony of the whole Vibe organization. Is when I started Vape Mentors, my focus was on helping entrepreneurs understanding how to do business, because there's a lot of people who are visionaries, they are passionate, but, you know, as a baby boomer who has had my share of victories and more than my share of failures, I realized that you can't speed up experience. You can only learn from experience. And so for those of you who are listening to this, who are, say, less than 35 years old, sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, and maybe you are a genius, but a lot of times you're not. You just happen to be riding the surf at the right time. But bear in mind that business, and certainly this vaping industry, is highly cyclical. And nothing stays the same very long in any industry, including in our lives. And so you have to be mindful of watching where the future is and where the direction of the market is. And that's why the Vibe Industry organization was developed, because we want to support those people who are committed to being in it for the long term like you. And that's what I say, because people ask me all the time, you know, Norm, is vaping going away? And I say, no, I don't believe it is, but it's going to be different. It's going to be more challenging. It's going to be run by professionals. And, you know, I think at some point in time, we actually might, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, we might see a little bit of a reversal of mindset. I think maybe, you know, there's not much in the way of statistical data that shows that people have actually been able to increase their health or improve their lives or extend their lives or anything through vaping. You know, it's all anecdotal right now, but I'm hoping that at some point in time, vaping will be not ostracized and demonized as it is right now as being a tobacco product. And I know I got on my soapbox there for 5 minutes, and I apologize for taking your time, but I'm sure that you probably echo a lot of the same thoughts, man.
I do. You know, I think it's a matter of time. I do not believe vaping is going away. It's a global phenomenon that people that have tried to vape, a lot of them don't smoke anymore.
That's correct.
Some do both. I realize that, but eventually, from what I've seen, they enjoy vaping. They keep vaping.
Yeah.
And after what smoking did to me, and it's done to millions and millions of others, I was just too hard-headed and didn't want to accept it before. The old boy upstairs gave me another shot, so here I am.
So I usually end these interviews on a very rhetorical note, and I ask the question that if you started your business tomorrow and you knew then what you knew now, what would you do differently, JR?
It's tough. The biggest thing I would change would probably be location. You have to have the traffic to be successful, although I believe I've done very well. Also, I would start with more money. I made it very, very difficult on myself starting where we did and to build the shop to where we are now. But that being said, I went with what I had.
Well, the biggest failure of most businesses is undercapitalization, and that's certainly the case here. And, you know, usually when you budget, you might as well budget at least twice what you originally think you're going to need, because sometimes it does take that. And the fact that you were able to start with less than $20,000 is extraordinary. And the fact that you've been successful, and am I correct in assuming that your revenue has pretty much increased on a monthly basis since you've been open, or have you had some flat spots too?
No, pretty much, except for the cyclic norms.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm still increasing every month.
Very cool. All right. Well, listen, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, why don't you go ahead and give us your contact information in whatever form that you like, and then we'll go ahead and get this posted.
Okay. My email is jr@topshelfeliquidwholesale.com. topshelfeliquidwholesale.com. You can also go to my wholesale website at www.topshelfeliquidwholesale.com. Go figure. On my retail side, if you're interested in taking a peek at my retail shop, we just had our VIP party, quarterly party yesterday to thank our VIP members. It was amazing. There's a lot of pictures on there. You can go to my Facebook site. It's Texoma Top Shelf E-Cig and Vape. It's the full name, and you'll find lots of fun pictures on there. And if you'd like to pick up the phone and call, 903-771-4325 is the retail shop's number.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Well, of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in this week's section of Vapreneur of the Week. And I'm Norm Bauer with Vape Mentors, and we're going to be back with another show shortly. And if you are a Vapreneur and if you'd like to share your story like this, please, we would love to hear back from you. Norm@vapementors.com is the best place to find me, or vapementors.com. And of course, we're going to be sharing more about this Vape Industry Business Exchange in the weeks to come. So please don't go away and stand by for that too. Till next time, see you later.